Good afternoon, everyone. I know it's been a long day, but I think it's been very interesting. I'd like to start off by saying that I had the honor of serving on the Wharton Commission, and I really want to take this moment to thank Ed for that opportunity. You certainly took on a huge challenge when you took this on, and I think it is proving to be a conversation starter that's very important for us today. So thank you for your awesome leadership and wisdom. The work of the Wharton Commission is important and gives the public, researchers, practitioners, and policymakers the opportunity to reflect on what is currently happening with instruction and assessment, considering how assessment can be used most effectively to ensure that we are developing educated persons for the 21st century and beyond. While the ground covered by the Commission is extensive, it's not exhaustive. And I'm going to reflect on the public policy statement recommendations and focus my remarks on the implications for the assessment of English language learners or ELL students whose first language is other than English and who are taught in English as a second, who are learning English as a second language or as a third language or fourth language. Cultural diversity is also another hallmark of English language learners, and while I'm not going to comment a whole lot about it, we can't forget that that's part of what we need to keep in consideration when we're doing assessments. When I refer to English language learners, I also think of a full group of English language learners, and those are students who have actually achieved English proficiency and who have exited ELL status. These students I sometimes refer to as former Ls or redesignated Ls, or fluent English proficient Ls. And I like to think about that group as a total, as opposed to just taking off the students who are in the process of learning English. So, basically, I'm just going to provide some background on issues related to English language learners, talk a little bit about the challenges for states, districts, and schools, the relationship between instruction and assessment, touch on accommodations, and mention what I think we should be aspiring to. And then take Wharton Commission recommendations just very generally and comment on how they relate to this context. We all know, and perhaps many of you have seen this slide, where it shows the large number of ELLs concentrated in several states. And California has the largest number of ELLs, so it is the one that has probably, who is working mostly, who has a lot to say about this topic. But we have other states where there's large and growing numbers of English language learners, and these states also are important because they do not have the resources necessarily or the trained teachers to work with these students. So this map represents some of those large and growing, those states that are growing in numbers and in percentages of students who are increasing. Percentage-wise, we have, and you can see the list here, sort of gives you a general idea of some of the states and what percentages, what the increases look like. Percentage-wise, ELLs have more than doubled since 1993, when they constituted about 5% of the school population. Today, they constitute about 11% of the school population and continue to grow as this figure shows. And the L population is growing, but the mainstream population sort of staying stable. So the challenge is large, and it's important for all of us to be involved in addressing this challenge. Historically, ELL programs have been isolated, and students have been considered the responsibility of Title III office or ELL teachers at the state and local levels, but not necessarily the responsibility of all of the rest of the school community. While ELLs are in the process of acquiring English proficiency, they also are acquiring subject matter academic proficiency. Thus, the goal for these students is to develop both English language proficiency and academic proficiency. However, there's not a systematic way to monitor these goals. Reports on ELLs are usually designed to provide information on ELP status, English language proficiency status, and not subject matter achievement. Although ELL's proficiency in academic content is reported as a subgroup for accountability purposes, these test results are rarely connected to ELP data. ELP reporting systems are rarely used other than to identify and sort the students. And so there's an issue here. We need to connect these systems. We have assessment systems to assess both these things, but we need to connect these systems. In the current environment, particularly, we're implementing Common Core standards, which raises the bar for all students, particularly raises the bar for English language learners. The responsibility for reaching the two objectives of achieving ELP and academic proficiency should be a goal for the entire educational community, and not just the responsibility of Title III directors or the ESL teacher. To be successful, this new system must involve the participation of general educators responsible for teaching subject matter content. Their challenge is to take the language proficiency levels of ELLs into consideration and adapt teaching practices that make the subject matter accessible. This is a big job, and this is, I think, what we should be proud of. Many states are challenged by lack of trained teachers, lack of curriculum materials, and overall leadership to ensure ELLs are considered to provide with high-quality instruction equivalent to what other students receive and in rural districts, there's even more challenge. So two things should be noted about the current system. One is that states independently define who is an ELL. So a student can go from one state to another, from California to Arizona, let's say, and not be designated an ELL or be designated an ELL. There's also another phenomenon that students enter, and this is going back to the first point, the earlier point that I made about including former English language learners in the ELL subcategory. Students enter and exit the ELL subcategory like a revolving door. ELLs exit because they have achieved English proficient status, but they have not necessarily achieved academic proficiency. By not counting ELLs who achieve English proficiency, there's a loss of understanding about how the subgroup of students is achieving academically in comparison to their peers. So, in working with another group called the ELL Policy Working Group, we came up with a recommendation, and here's the recommendation. Basically, to keep ELLs as a subgroup, and to report on their academic proficiency as well as their ESL, their ELP proficiency, to use ELP really to kind of move things forward. And to use the ELP proficiency is very important to attach to how they're doing academically. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what, if any, should the relationship be between instructing and assessing ELLs and ELP, and in ELP and content. Until the mid-1990s, ELLs were not assessed at all. The states were, they simply thought they did not need to assess them, and so we had really no understanding of what their academic achievement level was. But with ESEA in 1995 and NCLP in 2001, it was required that states assess students in academic content. So there is a big, it's been difficult, but we've done it, and we've assessed the students. But do we understand what it means? And are we helping by using those assessments in ways that are being used to really learn more about these students? So I would argue that with the Common Core standards, we have a great challenge to raise the bar, yes, and the challenge is to ensure that the language or linguistic needs of these students are considered when instruction and content assessments are designed and delivered, and not to do it after the fact. It has to be done up front. And we are having, sometimes we have trouble doing that. With regard to content assessments, there's also the challenge of making them linguistically accessible to English language learners at various levels of English proficiency. This is particularly important for ELLs at lower levels of English proficiency, since after one school year, they are required to take the state content assessment. While inclusion is to their benefit, test publishers must do more to make their content assessments accessible to students whose English language proficiency is limited. The more linguistically accessible the test, the greater their validity we have the challenge of figuring out how to use the ELP assessment data. So we have to relate the two things. In short, we need to create a connected system that uses the results from ELP and academic assessments to inform teaching and learning. We need to work on this now. If not, we will fail to establish a connected system and will continue to lose valuable information that can inform teaching and learning. So briefly, what about accommodations? Well, we talk about them. They came about really because we needed to assess the students, and it had been done with students with disabilities. And so those were simply adopted from students with disabilities. But it's important, and it has happened, that we're starting to clarify that accommodations for English language learners really mean addressing linguistic issues and being careful about not including disability accommodations. But for the consortia, that is a challenge, and one that continues to be a challenge. They're reviewing one of the manuals right now for PARC, and some of the accommodations look very similar. They're sort of the same accommodations we've used in the past. We need to think about these in reflective ways and design them so that yes, we're going to use computer-based assessments, computer-adapted assessments, but these need to also be reflective of the language access points that DLLs have. So we have, for example, PARC is defining these as we call them computer-embedded supports, accessibility features, and specific accommodations for ELLs and students with disabilities. There's a lot there to think about. So these are the challenges with accommodations. It's identifying, designing effective accommodations, and then conducting research. We have skeletal research on the effectiveness of accommodations. So what should we aspire? The Gordon Commission really sort of challenges us to think about about assessment not just now, but in the future. And one of the things that I think we should aspire to for English language learners is robust formative assessment, so that we can inform curriculum, we can inform teaching and learning. And I guess that takes us to the recommendations that the Commission made. The first one is to set up a council of sorts. And a council, is also recommended by the DLL policy working group. That council was to address English language learners, but I think joining the two ideas is wonderful, because I think we need to figure out how to bring in people who know about English language learners and who can move the agenda forward. So this council that should be established should always have in mind the lens of ELLs. Should have a focus on ELLs. Almost every project that would be taken up by around assessment should have an ELL focus, and we don't always do that. We do it at the end, come back to it. There should be smaller working groups that have a focus on language and that are looking at the accessibility features for English language. The purpose of the groups would be to ensure appropriate and equitable content assessments for ELLs, and parallel subgroups, of course, should be formed for students with disabilities. The next recommendation is to sort of have all of the various agencies work together and with nonprofits and for-profit sectors. And I agree with that fully. That's a very nice recommendation. But I think it's important to also think about maybe trying to figure out how the federal government can use its Title III office or its equivalent in the reauthorized ESEA to plan and manage funded projects in the collaboration with other offices of the Department of Education and outside of education. If this effort is truly to encourage experimentation, funding mechanisms will need to be flexible, and managers will need to have understanding of the work and the expected outcomes. As appropriate, I would recommend that when needed, the federal agencies should appoint knowledgeable non-federal managers to oversee the research. It's also important to reauthorize the SEA and IDEA, and we're still working on that, but hopefully we'll move forward because that is going to, and that can support the different approaches, that can support the legislative action that's needed to conduct this experimentation with different approaches to assessment. Finally, the last recommendation is to build this 10-year agenda, which I think is wonderful. And for English language learners, that would be a great opportunity to move forward. The Council on Assessment should oversee the agenda building to ensure priority topics are addressed and findings are disseminated broadly and in a timely way. The agenda should be developed collaboratively by general, ELL, and special educators in coordination with general testing experts, language testing specialists, content specialists, and researchers knowledgeable about different student populations and research methods. I would predict that the majority of the topics to be researched will require an ELL focus. Even topics that seem generic, such as use of technology, will require consideration of how it can best be used by ELL at different levels of English language proficiency. So there's a lot more to say, but I'll leave it at that. I just think that it's important to always to think about special population and to consider it in broadest picture possible. So thank you, and thank you, Ed, for your permission.